a broad question about fintech in the construction industry. There seems to be a lot happening now.
Yeah.
Why is now the time? What's changing that we're seeing more of this?
Yeah, no, I think what's interesting, and I'm a pretty active investor. I've invested in a number of fintech companies. I think fintech as a whole is having its kind of high school graduation moment because all these technologies have existed for decades, right? Like people have been building the underlying blocks for many years, but the challenge has always been that. The technologies are too complicated to use because the user experience, the layer that the customer interacts with is crappy. It's kind of like, there were mobile phones and then the iPhone came out and the iPhone, is so much better. And so I think fintech is having this moment where the building blocks are ready. If you wanted to launch, a fintech product that, was a bank product for construction businesses. If you have, enough engineering skill set, you could actually launch it within 6 months. Whereas, 10 years ago, it would have taken you 3 years just to get the licenses in order, if not more. And, licensing and compliance is so complicated in this industry. So you have the building blocks so simplified that you can build pretty much any user experience you want. And so the why now question is that the underlying foundation, the building blocks, the abstractions that allows you to build more stuff on top of is now ready, which wasn't the case, even 5 years ago.
So seeing that there's such a trend and, opportunity with fintech and now coming to construction, are there any trends that you think that contractors should be jumping on? Or, on the other side, is there anything that they should be cautious of, any sort of newer tech that hasn't yet been proven and there's some risk?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is COVID was a net positive for the construction industry. I mean, it was terrible for lots of reasons, but it was very positive for the construction industry where, we often talk to customers on Zoom now. And, I can't imagine 3 years ago where our, BD people would jump on a call with customers in construction on a Zoom call, right? Because, so the adoption of technology and the digitization has grown so significantly that I think that now is an incredible opportunity for construction businesses where the people on the job site are actually open to adopting technology. Whereas before, if you were a business owner, let's say you were the most savvy business owner out there in construction, if your people don't want to use stuff, then there's no point, right? And so because now they are willing to use stuff because of COVID, I think it's time to lean in even more and sort of adopt even more technology. And so in that vein, there's a lot of stuff happening around finance, FlexBase being, I like to think at the forefront of it in the construction industry. There's stuff happening around, managing equipment, dozer, etc. But then there's also a lot of stuff happening around how you bid on projects, where there are lots of platforms that allow you to bid more efficiently. There are scheduling platforms. There are platforms to sort of organize labor. There are literally hardware companies that help the sort of clock in, clock out process of workers much more efficiently. There's camera companies now that you can install a camera and it'll tell you how productive your job site is. So you could be literally sitting at home and you could tell, your crew number 2 is, 70% productive and, there's 30% optimization yet to be done. There's all this stuff out there. And, it's just, if you Google for any potential problem in construction, I guarantee that there's a construction technology working on it.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. I just think there's so much opportunity for a contractor right now, and building a business looks a little bit different than when I was doing it 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the thought experiment there is like, what happens in like 20 years, right? Like if right. So much happened in the last 24 months, what happens like looking deep into the next 20 years? I mean, fundamentally every aspect of construction, planning, management, even the construction itself. There are companies like Canvas that literally are automating how you do drywall, where there's a robot that comes to the job site and literally sprays and gets it done. There are companies out there that are like Dusty Robotics that do the layouts in a building automatically. They sort of embed the schematic and then they go out and draw out these lines on a job floor, and it's just incredible to see how fast software and hardware in this industry is evolving.
Yeah, for sure. It gets me thinking. I mean, we all know that there's a shortage of labor in the skilled trades. And, this is probably a little bit of a rabbit hole. I won't go too deep, but with all of these new products, FinTech and otherwise, the others that you're sharing, it probably will impact the education system and, some of the skills that the trades will need to learn as they continue to grow. I guess I'm probably going down a little bit too deep on your thought experiment there, but
no, but just like one analogy, just to like go one step deeper. If you think about a company like SpaceX and Elon Musk, right? Everybody is at this point familiar with him, but I think the piece that most people don't realize is when SpaceX initially started, their whole thesis was that, rocket launches cost $500 million. How can we reduce the cost and time of a rocket launch by 90%?
Right.
Which is akin to saying like, hey, let's say a construction project costs, $10 million. Can you build it for $1 million? And
as well.
And like SpaceX actually solved that for rockets. Like, if you think about it, rockets are basically like metal, like screws, at the basic building block level. It's just like metal, right? So why does it cost so much? And so if you think about construction, arguably it's even more simple, right? Like it's like cement, wood, my hypothesis is that within the next 20 to 50 years, costs will actually go down as opposed to go up with technology. And so if you're a business owner, now's the time to adopt technology. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble.
Love it, Zaid.